Hi, I'm Stephen Garvey, founder, leader of National Citizens Alliance of Canada, NCA. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is going to be a short presentation. We're going to look at the facts surrounding the wireless fiasco going on in Canada with the costs. So the purpose of the NCA presentations like this is to give you the facts. We want to inform you with the facts so you can make the best decisions going forward, so you know what's going on, and that's all there is to it. We are not attacking, we're not bashing, as some people say, because that's all about name calling and derogatory statements. What NCA does is we expose the facts on relevant issues so you and your family are informed on those issues and you can make the best decisions. That's it. That's all we do is expose the facts and we provide our solutions, of course. So tonight it's on the wireless. This is going to be a short, compact presentation, and I think and I hope it will expand Canadians' perspective on what's going on politically, federally. I know myself, I found the information quite mind-blowing, to be quite frankly, but it made sense to me once I started to go through the information. It makes sense, and hopefully it will connect a lot of dots and clarify what's going on politically. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of spinning going on, and the NCA is fighting through that. We do not support corruption, and we stand fully opposed to the corruption in Ottawa, and we will expose it. And we don't care what the person's name is, what their party color is. It does not matter to us. We stand in full opposition to the entrenched corruption in Ottawa. So this is a meme we had up earlier in the week. I'm just going to expand it here so you can see it a little better. Here it is here. And it says, again, this is just fact right here. Some people have taken this as an attack, but this is strictly a fact, and we're trying to raise public awareness. And it says, what do you think of Trudeau deregulating the wireless industry and causing an oligopoly of Bell, Telus, Rogers, and some of the highest wireless rates in the West? And then we say, actually, it was Maxime Bernier while Minister for the Conservatives. And that is a fact. And we're going to give you the details tonight. It's quite shocking. The NCA 2019 believes that service of the Canadian people does not entail caving into corporate interests, especially at the expense of the Canadian people. And this wireless fiasco is all about caving into corporate interests at the expense of the Canadian people. It's actually very disgusting what went on, and Canadians need to know. They need to be very informed on it, so they can hold those accountable who are behind it. So let's get right into the facts. So we're going to be putting out an article tomorrow on this, but I'm going to go through the basic facts right now. In 2016, there was a CRTC Commission report. It established that Canada's wireless rates are the highest in the developed world. For example, entry-level wireless costs on average in Canada, $41.08. By comparison to Germany, $17.15. That is more than double the cost in Canada as compared to Germany on entry-level wireless costs. The higher level options, service options for wireless, Canadians are paying second highest in 8 Western countries. That was established in the CRTC Commission report. And guess what? In 2007, Bernier, as Minister of Industry with the Harper regime, overturned the CRTC plans to regulate the wireless industry. And Mr. Bernier said, quote, rely on market forces as to the maximum extent and to regulate telecommunications only when necessary. That may sound good on the surface, but what it means is the bigger players will absorb and push out smaller players, creating less competition and higher prices for Canadians. And that's exactly what happened. When Bernier totally deregulated the wireless, it became into a libertarian extreme where the bigger fish consumes the smaller fish. And that's exactly what happened in Canada. This raises a lot of questions. I'm going to dig a little deeper. The CRTC report found that Bell, Telus, Rogers had 91% of all wireless sales revenues. Oligopoly, that's what it's called. What kickbacks did Bernier receive for caving into Bell, Telus, and Rogers? Why was he putting their corporate interests ahead of the Canadian people? All in the name of free market. These are questions Canadians need to ask. We're going to dig a little deeper here. The report by the CRTC was criticized by the Montreal Economic Institute, MEI, Montreal Economic Institute, claiming that the wireless market was competitive and therefore no regulation was necessary. That the market was competitive and therefore no regulation was necessary. That is absolutely absurd. That is absolutely false by the Montreal Economic Institute, as the evidence shows. Bell, Telus, Rogers have a 91% revenue place in the wireless market. They have an oligopoly. And let's dig deeper into the Montreal Economic Institute. With a $2.3 million annual budget, the Montreal Economic Institute, nonprofit think tank, aims, at least they claim to aim, to promote economic liberalism through economic education of the general public and what it regards as efficient public policies. It also happens that Bernier was an executive vice president of the Montreal Economic Institute in 2005 before he became Minister of Industry in the Harper regime. The Montreal Economic Institute fully endorses Bernier's repeated attacks on supply management, claiming it does not benefit Canadian consumers. Just like the deregulation of the wireless industry? How is flooding the Canadian milk market with tainted U.S. milk and putting Canadian dairy farmers out of business? How's that good for the Canadian consumer? What about the RBST, growth hormone, in U.S. milk? And yet that growth hormone is illegal in Canadian milk. So how's that good for the consumer? That's something people need to think about. Martin Massey, executive member of Bernier's party, also worked at the Montreal Economic Institute, and another executive member worked at the Fraser Institute. Atlas and the Fraser Institute These are two nonprofits received large donations from the Koch brothers, one of the wealthiest families in the world, around 99 billion net worth. The Koch brothers support globalist trade, open borders. And I should add here, Montreal Economic Institute is a partner at Atlas Network. And this is a globalist consortium of think tanks. And it has 13 such partners in Canada, many of which are astroturfing as grassroots. As mentioned, Atlas, the Atlas Network in Fraser, is connected to the Koch brothers and their globalist trade open borders agenda. And it should be added as a footnote, Bernier supports globalist trade, TPP, and you could argue he's supporting open borders. So there you have that. So the questions we need to ask, while Bernier claims to reject crony corporatism, he has a history of doing the exact opposite, as shown by the wireless Fiasco and his self-proclaimed libertarian views are the exact opposite of nationalism populism by supporting globalist corporate goals over the public interest. And those are the facts. Look into it. We're gonna have more details in the article released tomorrow. But as far as we're concerned, this Bernier is part of this consortium of think tanks, which is connected to the Koch brothers in the U.S., who are pushing globalist trade, open borders. And yet Bernier's pretending he's a nationalist populist. And if we look at the facts, he caved in to Bell, Telus, and Rogers at the expense of the Canadian people. This guy is a fraud. This guy is an absolute fraud. What kickbacks did he receive, is he receiving from these globalist corporations? That's what we all need to be asking. We hope you found this information interesting and relevant. Please share it. And if you have any comments, questions, please add them in the live video feed comment section. And we always love looking at them and learning from you. And thank you for joining me tonight.